the church more than ever before. It is today that we require effective church leaders in the church more than ever before. But before I get there, maybe it is good to talk about myself, as I've been told that I will say more about myself. I'm Dr. Naomi Gekonyo, and my middle name is Wairimo. I'm Dr. Naomi Wairimo Gekonyo. I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Nairobi. It's good to share with you that, because we are a family, we are a team, and therefore if you're there and you think I can be of any help to you, you're welcome to talk to me. My specialization or my expertise is in education, so I'm an educationist, and I have a special interest in online learning. I do a lot of training, and I have done this. Of course, in the university, we do research, we do training, and we do we do training and we do research, and we also do community work. But other than that, I'm also involved in training, and we train faculty. Faculty are the trainers in the institutions. They are called faculty in different institutions, and among them is KEMI, those who know KEMI. We have AMREF, we have KNET, and other universities. I'm also a director in an institution that we call Christian Center for Training and Mentorship, and this is a Christian organization that aims at nurturing Christian youth for excellence, and therefore we work with such. And through this, we've found ourselves in different churches, working with young people, with ladies, and just to offer training and mentorship so that we can tap to the great potential and ensure that they excel in whatever they are doing. We also develop strategic plans for institutions and organizations, and conduct project evaluation, both midterm and end-term evaluations, and also train on grant proposal writing. Besides all this, I carry out the great commission of the Lord Jesus Christ of making disciples for Jesus. Praise God. And that is why I am able to stand here, not because of the other profile, but because I'm a maker of the disciples of Christ. I'm an elder in the Church of the Torch, patron in the church school in the church, and also I'm also the secretary in the church development committee. I'm married to Reverend Gekonyo. He has stepped out, and together we have brother, and I'm a mother of Margaret and Hannah, as well as many other spiritual children that God has given me. Praise God. It is good to know me, so that you feel like you know me. When you know me now, you can say, mimi ni wenyu. Bwana asifiwe. It is difficult to know each one of you, but normally when we do training, we also like hearing your story. But let me take the general understanding that I have the leaders for Bagathi Parish, and for now that will suffice. But I know a few of you, so when I need to be talked to, those that I know, be prepared, because I can only call one that I know. Sawa sawa. Yes. So different people take leadership in church at different times. And in our church, we talk of leadership that normally lasts for 1 year, and it can be renewed, and therefore it takes 3 years. And there are many reasons why people talk of leadership that has a time limit. And I'll just cite two. One is to grow leadership in the church. It's because when I stand here as a leader, I think I'm the only one who can do. I may think that I'm the only one who can do it. But I may just discover, if I sat down and one of you again came and stood here and started talking about leadership like I'm doing, I just discover another thing that I had not thought about. So for that reason, we have leadership that runs in church, and it has time limit. You do it for a year, 2 years, and maybe a maximum of 3 years, and we get other people so that we can grow leadership in church. There are so many things that require our leadership skills, and therefore we would want to grow it in church. We have different people who are mentored, who are prepared for leadership for the church. And also, another reason is to give many people an opportunity to offer their services. There are people, as I have said, who can even do it better than you are doing it. So be humbled and feel humbled before the Lord that today he has chosen you to be where you are. It is not that you are the only one, but he has given you an opportunity. Tomorrow, another one is given another opportunity, and we encourage this in the church so much, and not only in the church, even in our country. We have presidency that runs for 5 years and a maximum of 2 terms. And other positions, you know what happens. That is just to say that we have many. God has given us a lot of resources, and we must ensure that we appreciate each other. However, as we think about leadership, many people fear leadership. I don't know whether when you are chosen, whatever time, you ever thought that you are not good enough for that. Like the management, the church management that would have it, they would fear and ask, do we have the right lot? Are we getting the right people to do for us leadership or to lead people this year or this season? And the leader who has been chosen may also be afraid himself and wondering, will I deliver? Now that I'm being called the chairperson of this group, now that I'm in charge of this district, now that I'm in charge of this zone, will I deliver? And therefore, leadership may appear difficult, it may appear uncertain, but it is doable. There is hope in leadership. You can make it. And we are going to see how we are going to make it. Maybe I just pose 2 questions. Who is an effective leader? And what is effective church leadership? Tell your neighbor. Hebu ongea na mwenzako. Effective ni nini? Effective na Kiswahili ni? Mwalimu wa Kiswahili nisaidie. Yenye utekelezi. Kutekeleza. Kutimiza. Haya. Kuwajibika. Haya. Ninasikia hizo synonyms, there are many. Haya. So effective leader, who is an effective leader? Umeambia mwenzako. Nikaribia, uniambie. Okay, then let me hear someone say something. Who is an effective leader? Okay, a clap. Pamoja tu hivi, hiyo ndio yetu ya leo. So an effective leader is supposed to create an impact and transform. Are those the words that you have used? An effective leader? Yes, the lady in yellow. Thank you. Thank you. That is Esther. Yes, that's after name. The one who is able to articulate. To articulate? Is it what they want? Their responsibility, their task well. Okay. Then what is effective church leadership? The other hand that was up. Was it an elder? I'd know that about that. All right. Mm-hmm. Thank you. A clap for him. I want to take it to address the question, effective leadership, that your church leadership is that you're able to influence, not to coerce, not to impose, but you're influencing them positively. Very good, and thank you for those responses. I want us to look at a biblical example of a leader, and the leader that I have chosen to use this morning is Moses. You know Moses? Yes, in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verses 1 to 14, you'll find the story of Moses and the burning bush. I'll not go through it, but I want us to talk about it. And you remember the story. Moses is out there in the field. He's herding the livestock that he was herding out there, were they the sheep or the goats? And God found Moses. And when he found him, he called him by his name. And he gave him an assignment. I want you to note that he was out there doing what he was used to doing, his daily work. God found him. He must have chosen him. That's why he went to that particular field where he was. And he called him by name. He called him Moses. And he gave him an assignment. And therefore, the leadership that we are talking about today, I want to talk about leadership that is possible. Tell someone leadership that is possible. One, from that passage, I want us to identify one, that it is God who identified and selected Moses. So, we have a God who identifies and a God who selects. And this morning, I just remind you that he has just done that to you. Bwana asifiwe. He has identified you. He has selected you. It is you. Not Moses, but it is you today in the position that you're holding. Umeshika hiyo vizuri? Anakujua. Na alikuona kwenye ulikuwa unafanya hizo kazi zako. Kwenye ulikuwa unachunga kondoo zenye ulikuwa unachunga za Jethro. Alikujua, akakuchagua na akakuita na jina. And that is why we have you this morning. Number 2, very important, that God knows you. He knew Moses, and that is why he called him. And I want to say this. When Moses was being called by God, you remember he had his past. And what do you remember about Moses' past? Alikuwa mtoto, alikuwa ametupwa, si ndio? Alikuwa agamizwe. What else do you remember about his past? Alikuwa ameua. What another thing? Alikuwa ametoroka kwa mfalme, si ndio? Just like all of us or many of us, you have your own good and bad past. Kuna zile nzuri, kuna zile ambazo hata huwezi ukaangalia nyuma, hata hutaki hiyo itajwe na mtu. Hata akienda huko Midiani, he was hoping he will never meet someone who would know him. Because akimpata, atasema na, just like he was told, are you not the one who? And he was really surprised. So as we come to this leadership, we are not coming because we are very perfect. All right? But God knows. The most important thing, God, who in point 1, who has identified and selected us, he knows us. He knows our challenges. He knows our past. He knows the good of us and the bad of us. And he knows what resources we have. Yes? Moses said, how do you send me there and I'm not even able to talk? See, that is a challenge. You may also be having your own challenges. Nikitembea sana, miguu inauma. Nikiongea sana, siwezi kulala, naumwa na kichwa. Nikifanya nini, hii inatendeka. Then how do I get to? Even of whatever challenge that you may be having. But today, we are saying God knows who you are. He knows your past. He knows your present. He knows even your future. He knows your challenges. And he even knows what resources you're having. You know, at times we are called and you ask yourself, vile naona watu wa kanisa la PCA wakitoa pesa. Nitatoa wapi hizo pesa za kutoa? Si ndio? But there is no church that doesn't give because you cannot worship without giving. Si ndio? So it is only our own excuses. But other than all that, God called Moses and he asked him, what do you have? And you all know what Moses responded and said? I only have what? A rod that was in his hand. Alikuwa na kijiti kwa mkono yake. And that is what God used because he knew him. Alikuwa anachunga buzi lakini hakuna hata moja ilikuwa yake. Alikuwa na ako kwa field lakini hakuwa hata 50 by 100 yake. It was theirs. Lakini alikuwa anafanya hivyo. The only thing that he owned was the kijiti that he was to use to do the herding. That is how well the Lord knows us. But he has called you today, having known you, your good, your bad, having known your capability, your challenges, having known what you have and what you don't have. But he has chosen to use you for his own purpose. You are the leader today. Number 3, God had a mission. God had a mission. And the mission that he had for Moses, why was he calling him? He was calling him to go to Egypt and bring out his people out of slavery. And when he called him to go and bring those people out of slavery, God himself was committed to this mission. And there's a verse there, I don't know, it says that he told him, and once you bring them out, you will come and worship me on this mountain. Meaning, najua Mungu akikuita, anakuita anajua mwanzo wako na hata mwisho. He has given you a task. And once you agree and commit yourself to do what he has called you to do, during this time of your leadership, he even sees what you're going to accomplish. And anaona the other side of the task, you know, he sees like it has already happened. Alikuwa hakuwa ameona ule ugumu wa Firaoni na watu wake. Anaona beyond that. He sees that he has gone, brought them out. They have even gone through all that. And once they are done, they will worship me. Praise be to God. So God is calling you this morning. And he has a task. He has a mission for you. Someone says, influencing in the task that you've been given. So God has called you with a mission. Maybe it is a high time you ask yourself, what is this that the Lord is calling me for? Why am I in this group? In whichever capacity, what am I being called to do? So what am I being called to do? What am I being called to do? Because God has a mission, and the beauty of it is he's committed to that mission to see to it that it is accomplished. And he sees the end from the beginning. And so he sees it as it is already done. If you have been called so that someone where you are will see Christ, will be saved as a result of your ministering, and so be it. The Lord is seeing that person become even a great preacher also because of your leadership. Number 4, God reveals himself and manifests himself in the course of that mission. You remember Moses asking, when they ask me, what shall I say? And the Lord says, I am who I am. So as we move along through our mission of leadership that God has called us to this morning, we will discover that the Lord goes on revealing himself to us. He continues to reveal himself. where you need help, he continues to provide it promptly and the right one so that you don't lack. So the Lord will reveal himself. Even now, it is at the beginning of the year. You may not be sure. Am I really required here? Do I really know what I am doing? Or did you just take it up and say it's only for a year, and September is fast coming for another elections, and it is like you're seeing this 8 months like a very short time before we now go again to elections again. May the Lord help us that even one day can make a difference. Very important what you do. So may the Lord continue to reveal to us what it is that we require to do. Number 5, the mission that you're in is God's process. It is process. And therefore, if it is him who has initiated, you are sure of success. It is God's process, and therefore, success is sure. And finally, God promises his presence to be with us. As he did with Moses, he promised of his presence. And so it is with us, that God is going to be with us. And therefore, those points drawn from that passage of Moses and the burning bush just reminds us that Moses was being called to be a leader, but he didn't know. He was a boy who was rescued when other boys were being killed. He was put into water. He went to, like that. Somebody who was saved. And he didn't know, or we didn't know as we read that story from the beginning, that God had such a big plan for him. No wonder he had to be rescued. Maybe you also look at your life back there and you ask yourself, the many stages that I've gone through, probably the Lord has brought me this far just to ensure that I am the one in this position today. And therefore you are called to leadership. Why are you called to leadership today? Ask yourself, why are you called? Why are you called to leadership today and not yesterday and not tomorrow? It is today that you're a leader. God is calling you to leadership to position you for that mission that you have said that you must accomplish. And when you are called to leadership, number 1, we must seek God. If there are people who need to seek God more than the others, are the leaders, so that they can show the other people how they should go. Because you have a greater task. It is you to decide what is to be done. It is you to influence. Someone has said influence, and influence positively. You want to be an effective leader, then you must seek God. When Moses saw the burning bush, he stopped what he was doing and he said, I must turn and see why that bush is burning and it is not being consumed. So we must seek God. Number 2, we must surrender to God. If we have to be effective, if we have to be successful, then we must surrender to God. Moses left the animals. Moses was told to remove his shoes. I don't know what you need to surrender for you to be an effective leader. Because you cannot remain at the same place and do what God has called you to do. Remember, he is calling you. So he's actually taking you out of where you are to give you an assignment. If Moses didn't leave the sheep and approach the burning bush, he would never know what the Lord was calling him to do. So you also must leave. Lazima ile umekuwa ukifanya. Kuna mambo mengine ambayo umezoea kufanya, itakubidi uachane nayo. Uweze utafuta uso wa Bwana. Uweze ukajua kwa nini Mungu akakuita at such a time as this. So you must surrender to God. The Lord has called you as a church leader now with one sole purpose of serving his people. That you serve God through serving his people. The purpose you are a leader today is to serve his people. Imagine, we've all been called to lead. And this leadership is serving. You want to serve God through serving people. And what is interesting is, the people we are called to lead, you don't choose them. Do you choose them? You don't choose them. In fact, we keep telling them, come. Even when you find a drunkard staggering down there or even fallen down there, you'd want to ask for God's grace to minister to him. And if by God's grace he accepts Christ, you want to call him to come to church. So we call everyone to come. Some of them will not be very interesting. Some of them may not have the behaviors that you'd want to see. Some of them may not be what you want them to do. But imagine what? These are the people that God has called you to serve, if you're to serve him. Praise God. So you need to seek him, this leadership call. You need to surrender to him. You need to serve his people. Whatever kind. You may not like them, but imagine they are God's people and he has called you to serve them. He was called to go, get them out of Egypt, and bring them to this mountain so that they can worship God. And as we continue, you can write where you are writing. Which people has God called you to serve as you serve him? Maybe you need to identify them. What is it that God has seen you, that he has sent you to those people? That group, that district, that zone, those are the people that God has called you to serve. They may not be what you'd want to have. Probably if you were given a choice, you'd choose a different group, you'd choose a different district, you'd choose whatever it is. But God has chosen you already. We said he knows you and he has chosen you and given you a mission. And the mission he has given you today is to serve those people. So you may not like them, but God has sent you to them. So surrender and serve them for the glory and honor of God. Praise God. Then God has called you to take these people to where he wants. Bwana asifiwe. And I think that's another good question you can write in your notebook. Where do you want me to take them? That was the mission. God was very definite. He knew they are in Egypt and they are suffering. And he wanted them brought out and taken to the promised land. And along the way, they were to worship God on this mountain. Bwana asifiwe. Today, these people that God has sent you to, imagine hutawaacha pale umewapata. Bwana asifiwe. You must do what you call value addition in their lives. Hutawaacha pale umewapata. Therefore, the question is, where does God want you to take these people from to? Utawatoa wapi? Utawafikisha wapi? When we do our evaluation at the end of your leadership period, what shall we say? Will we see people who have come out of that and they have moved to this other one? So please take them where God wants them to be. May you reflect. May you seek the Lord to reveal to you that where he wants you to take his people as you serve them. And therefore, leadership with impact is what we call effective leadership. And there is no greater impact than seeing people, serving people, and seeing them move from one point to another. And for you to be impactful or to be that leader that has got an impact, you've got to remain a servant. Nasikia watu wakiongea mambo ya servant. Inaitwaje? Servant leadership. And many who talk about it actually don't mean it. But this is where now we require it. That it is you to serve. It is you to go. And it is actually you that God knows very well. He knows you by name. He knows what resources you have. He knows what your challenges are. He has even done the SWOT analysis for you. He knows what are your strengths, knows your weaknesses, and knows everything about you. But he has called you. And when we think of impact. And Moses' leadership, we cannot help thinking about the leader that followed him, who is Joshua. Very good. And Joshua was Moses' AD. So he was assisting Moses. It means that for the 40 years that Moses led these children of Israel as they were moving through the journey, Joshua was always there with him. And Joshua was a normal person. In fact, the book of Joshua starts by saying, Joshua, son of Moses. That is how it starts. It says, Joshua, son of Nun, and Moses, AD. So it means that he was just an ordinary man. But he had been impacted by Moses. He had learned a lot of leadership from Moses. And therefore, he grew up into leadership. Many times as leaders, we want to have impact, or we would desire to have impact. But the question is, have you been keen to see what other leaders have been doing so that you can learn from them? And I think for you to be that person with impact, it is good also to draw some lessons from the people who have been there. And I started by saying that our leadership runs across, has time limit, or it has a span of time. And therefore you are there today, tomorrow you are not there. When you get into leadership, you don't want to undo all that had been done by the other leaders, but you want to draw from what probably they did, and you admired, and you want to further that. Because I think that is what Joshua did. He had learned a lot. He was just an ordinary man, but he stayed close to Moses until he was able to learn something from Moses, so that he was able to take over the leadership when he took over. And therefore, for you to, as a successful leader or an effective leader, you need to work with other people. It may be your followers, you want to encourage them, so that tomorrow, when your 3 years are done, you don't stand and say, I don't see anybody that can take over from me. No, that is a very wrong statement for a leader, because as you move from the day one you step into that office, let me call it an office, you identify immediately someone that you can grow with, so that in the next 1 year, God giving you another job to do, you will not say, how do I leave this? I'll be able to leave it with. I mean, you have already mentored somebody. So the other thing is that you need to remain in course. People will move and they will stop what they are doing, or they are not committed to what they are doing. But Joshua, I just said, impactful leadership. And we can see an example of that impactful leadership from Moses, because he impacted on Joshua and he became a very strong leader who was now to complete the mission. And remember, he was also told the same. You are the one who is going to make these people to get into the land that I promised them. So you are also supposed to be impactful, that you want to make somebody else become a leader as a result of your leadership. And therefore, when we think of an effective leader, I thought it is important that we share with you. We share lessons drawn from leadership that we call transformational leadership. Someone has mentioned it as we are talking about leadership that transforms. And the Bible says in the book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 2, that and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Bwana asifiwe. It talks about be ye transformed. Don't be conformed. You don't conform, but transform, so that you may know the good and perfect and acceptable will of God. Bwana asifiwe. And I think that is what we are saying this morning. Be not conformed, but be transformed by renewal of your mind. Start seeing yourself differently. Don't sit in that office and say, this is what we did last year, and of course, this is what we are going to do this year. We want to renew our mind so that we can not only conform, we don't need to conform, but we want to transform and renew our mind. And as we do that to ourselves, the people that I have told you God has called you to lead them, to move them from point A to point B, of course, positively. I don't want you to move them from here to there, but it is from there to, that positive movement of the people God has called you. You need to also ensure that you renew their minds. They don't conform. They renew their minds so that they can be transformed to prove what is good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. So who is a transformational leader? Who is a transformational leader? Transformational leader? Are you one? Do you think you're one? People have, or researchers have tried to establish what makes leadership effective. A lot of research has been done on leadership. And one of the leadership that is debated about is the transformational leadership. And it involves some exceptional type of influence that moves the followers to accomplish more than what maybe they expected. It is a kind of influence, positive influence, of course, that will make the followers to accomplish more than what is usually expected of them. So when we talk of transformational leadership, we are talking of, are you able to make your people willingly do what you want them to do or what you're planning to do, and they do it so well, and they even do beyond what you even expect. So it is a leadership style where one engages with others so that they can move to higher levels of motivation and performance. This transformational leader, and I don't want you to take you to definitions and all that, but I want us to focus on 5 characteristics of that transformational leadership, or that transformational leader. What does he or does she have? Number 1 is they model the way. Model the way. And when we talk of modeling the way, it means that this leader is living the values, the behaviors, and the convictions that they have so that the followers emulate them. Nasema nini? You talk of, this is what we should do. This is what we should do. It is not about saying, but it is about doing it. So they will say, I stand for honesty. I hate people who don't keep their word. I like people who manage their time well, and all that and all that. After you have done, it is you to actually show. For example, I'll use an example of a school. You are a head of a department, and you're telling the teachers that this year we must make our students get to this level. And how do we do that? We must ensure we have a class at 7. We must ensure we come on Saturday. We must. And because you are the leader, you don't even have those classes. You don't take any of those classes. You don't struggle to raise your whatever. And that is what you're saying. You are not modeling the way, leading by example. So modeling means that what you are saying, you actually do it yourself. Those are the transformational leaders. They are open, they are honest, and they also develop trust among their followers through their interactions. That the more you interact with your leader, the more you realize, actually, this is a person of integrity, and he would not compromise what he stands for. That is modeling the way. So, point number 1, you must learn how to model your way or the way even for your followers. Number 2 is that they inspire a shared vision. They inspire a shared vision. This means as a leader, you are the one who knows when you have come, where do you want to take this group. Lazima ukue na maono. Lazima uwe na vision. Ni nini unataka kufanyia hawa watu? Ni nini unataka kutekeleza? Ni nini unataka kufanya? You must know where you want these people. And your group will go as far as your vision is. Mtaenda ubali wenye wewe utaweza kuwaelekeza. Sababu if tunatafuta kitu leo na tuseme tumechoka hatuwezi pata. Kiongozi akisema hivyo, si ni hivyo tu, tunaachia hapo. Lakini kuna ile kupreson, unawaambia hatujafika, lakini lazima tutaendelea kutekeleza, kujaribu. Tutaendelea kujaribu mpaka tufike. So he inspires a shared vision. Therefore, this person envisions the future and ensures the others join in. So what is important for you is kukua na hiyo vision. And once you have the vision, ensure that kila mmoja wao anajua what your vision is and they accept it. Juu hiyo ndio you are inspiring the shared vision. Ndio muwe na mwelekeo mmoja. Tusije tukasema our group we are 50 and by the end of the year we want to be 100 of us. So let everybody know. I went to one school recently and they were having a very good day because they were excited. They are about to sit the exam. They are preparing for the examination. And they said they are now done with the syllabus. They are launching the revision exercise. And as they did that, in fact, when you get into the gate and the gate man opens for you, he tells you, Madam huku, unakubuka yetu ni nane. And they were talking of nane. And you didn't know what nane is. You go to the kitchen, as they serve you tea, they tell you, unajua leo, tunaongea mambo ya nane. Unajua mwaka huu ni nane. And then when we went to the students in the hall, and after we were done with everything, the students had prepared something, and they said they want to give us a gift. And they wrapped something. And you know what was in that box? It is actually letter or digit nane. And you needed not to be told what this message is all about. So even you people now, you know. What does it mean? That they are targeting 8.0 in the forthcoming exam. Hiyo vision inajulikana na gatekeeper, inajulikana na mpishi kule kitchen, inajulikana na mwalimu, na hata wanafunzi, they know that if they want to make these members, the leadership happy, they keep on telling them, our gift, wait for it, in March or in April when the exam comes out, we shall bring you 8.0. So that is how it should be with our leadership. Let it be known where are we headed, and everybody should know that this is the way we are taking, so that you don't leave anybody behind. Number three, transformational leaders, they challenge the process. They challenge the process. And challenging the process means the ability for the leaders to continually improve, create new things, be innovative, encourage new ways of doing things. Because if we have been doing this and we got, let me use my example, our 8.0. But 8.0 is not the highest grade, is it? No, we have, what is the best grade? It's 12, yeah? If you got the best grade in that examination, you'd get a mean grade of 12.0. So you still have 4 to come. While 8 is very good, depending on where you are coming from, that's a school that has grown from down there, and it has grown until now they are at 8. So if we are at 8, we can still go to 9 and 10. And how do we get there? You as a leader, you ask yourself, I need to do this, this, and this. In our district, probably the attendance has been 70%. And you ask yourself, why isn't this other 30% coming? You want to challenge the process. Ask yourself, what is the other new thing that you can do to make these people more comfortable, accept this fellowship, and continue to participate more? That is what you are calling challenging the process. Maybe it is our group. It has not been having very active members. What can we do to make them even more active? They like their group, and we do our mission. Remember, every group has got its mission. And the question is, how well can we achieve our mission today than it was yesterday? So you become more innovative, more creative, challenging what has been done. Can we do it differently? And you make sure, we said, inspire a shared vision. Because everybody knows that we are aiming at getting there. They will all come on board to even come up with new ideas of how we can do things. And then number 4. What is number 1? Number 2? Number 3? Very good. Number 4, enable others to act. You are a leader, right? You are a leader, but you have followers. And you must not be ignorant of the fact that the followers that you have, some of them are even more capable than you are. Hello? Bwana asifiwe. Is that true? Is that true? Yes. God went for Moses, but there were other many people who are in their houses and their homes. But he chose to go to the field to a man who had nothing other than a stick in his hand, and he has come for you. So as you hold your stick like this, remember the other people who are holding bags of many other resources, isn't it? But he has chosen you. But you, as a transformational leader, one thing you can do is to ensure that everybody comes on board. And that is what you are saying, enable others to be actors in your leadership. And what do we mean by this? You want to deliberately plan to involve everybody so that whatever each one of them has is brought on the table, and it helps us to achieve our shared vision. Are we together? Tunaelewana? Do not leave anyone behind. Don't stand up like a boss and say, it is me, and it is not you. No, you want to bring everybody on board so that you all learn together and you all work together, and therefore you are able to benefit from the many resources, the talents, the gifts that are in there. And in the process, you also identify someone else whom you're going to impact or to mentor, like Joshua was done by Moses. So enabling others to act so that they feel that they are able to put their own ideas to support you as a leader. You need their support. There is no leader who can work alone. If you feel like you're working alone, my brother, my sister, check again. You're not right. But when you tell yourself and you keep on telling them, remember, I'm not able alone. I need you. And that is where we need the very good principle of management or delegation. Ensure that you can identify something to give everybody so that all of them, they are eager. And you try it out, like you have said, you try new ideas, you try it out. When you tell someone, come during the next meeting that you're having, you're going to do 1, 2, 3. They will not fail to come because they know they have something to offer. So a characteristic number 4 of this leader is that they enable others to act, realizing very well that they are not able alone, but they need everybody to be involved. So they will collaborate with others. They will build up even other leaders in the process. And then number 5, number 5 is encouraging the heart. Encouraging the heart. This will involve recognizing contributions that are being made by other people. When they say something, when they add on to your leadership, they give you an idea, you won't tell them, well done. I appreciate that. I am happy that you're able to do that. So recognition of contributions the other people have made. Make sure that you celebrate the victories together. Whatever little achievement that you have done, ensure everybody comes on board. People will need to be encouraged. Not everybody is feeling like they are strong enough to do what you want them to do. But once they do, you want to encourage them. The others who don't want to do anything, it is upon you as a leader to motivate them so that you encourage them. You make them feel that this is where they should be. Effective leaders should be able to celebrate individual and group achievement. When we achieve, you want to celebrate. When one of us achieves, you want to celebrate. And this makes a very big success because when you motivate people, they continue remaining committed to your vision. When you encourage them and you tell them, you show them that they have done it, then they will continue being committed to your vision that you have shared with them. Bwana asifiwe. Ukijiangalia hizo 5, uko na ngapi? Uko na ngapi, kiongozi? 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5. Hebu jimakia hapo. And then I'll ask your neighbor to check how many you have given yourself. Umejimakia? Esther, amekupatia ngapi? Out of 5. Okay, lakini najua hakuna mwenye ako na 0, sio? But now that you have learned them, see, we should score 5 out of 5. Now you know, isn't it? Yes, let's try them out. And then I think someone else just talked about being a caring leader. That was an effective leader. Another one talked about a caring leader. And he said a caring leader has got three characteristics. And I'll say them very fast because I don't want you to forget them. A caring leader plans, a caring leader communicates, and a caring leader works with a team. Okay? You must plan and know where you want to take. As you come into leadership, you must always tell yourself, what is it that you want to do? I know you don't work alone. You have a team, and even the ones who are here, probably you work as a team. But you sit together and you ask yourself, where do you want to take this group? And then you work towards that. Number 2, communication. You must be very articulate in ensuring that your plan is understood by all. And that is what you have said in the Transformational Leadership, that you must inspire a shared vision. They must know that this is what we are doing. And many things have gone wrong because you come to the office and you tell yourself, this is what I want to do. And then someone tells you, but that is what they did last year. There was no communication. The followers therein didn't know. And therefore, when you start all over again, if they didn't come all of them, they will say you have a meeting and 50% of us are there. and those 50 were not in the other meeting, they will not say what was done, and therefore you kind of do what has already been done. But if you communicate well, then they know. And then, even in homes, many things have gone wrong because you stay in a home and nobody understands the general direction of that family. So God forbid, when one departs and leaves the others, they are lost. They don't know. No wonder you see visions that have been cut short. They don't proceed because of communication. So we are leaders, and we should ensure that we communicate the plan. This plan, because you want to involve everybody, like we have said, that we need to have everybody on board. They will know, and they will ensure that they continue funding that vision because it is for good of them all. And then teamwork. You work with everybody. Nobody is less important. Nobody is more important than others because we all come with our own unique characteristics. Like a jigsaw, when it just fits, it fits in very well. When you remove the small, the builders will tell you that a small piece of stone would fit somewhere where none other will fit. And therefore, we make sure that just like that carnation where every flower has its own beauty, we also take that principle that each one of our followers, each one of us has got their own place in that carnation, and we need them. And therefore, I don't know whether you can cite some examples of transformational leaders that you have admired. And you can also cite yourself if you're one. Have you admired any leader somewhere? Ebu shout their name. Elder Jennifer, a clap for her. Elder Jennifer is admired. Elder Eric is shouting somebody's name. Out there, any leader that you feel this was a transformational leader? All right. What makes you think that they are transformational? What makes you think they are? I'm sure if you can identify what makes you think they are, then you're able to tell yourself, this is what I would also want to be, or I would aspire to be, or even to exceed. What are the challenges of leadership? Na hiyo siwapei, ni muniambie. Challenges: availability, Elda amesema. Time constraints, disobedience of the followers, resources, food. Sema tu hata wewe uko nyuma kabisa. Feel part of us as we are saying, let's have everybody on board. Communication breakdown, lateness, time management, lack of commitment, ignorance, pride, finances. You know, these are the challenges that make us, even when you're called to lead, you tell yourself, if. And you know, we have laughed about disobedience, but it is one of the challenges that you tell yourself, how wenye wanaambiwa na sionangi wakifanya, mimi staki. You know, where do I stand? I don't know how to scold somebody, sijui ni wachape ama nifanye nini. Na unajua kanisani watu wanajileta. Ndio wimbo tulikuwa tunaimba. Kanisani ulijileta haukuletwa, si ndio? wewe mwenyewe. So wanajileta, wanafanya vile unataka, unaambiwa. Wakikataa, what else do you do? Nothing. You can't do anything. So those are the things that make you afraid of the positions that we are given. What do we do about those challenges? I don't want to keep you more. What are the solutions? On ignorance, there is need for training, sensitization, equipping people, or what you call capacity building. Make sure that these people know what it is that you want them to do. For example, if you're told today to go and teach in one of the classes, I don't know whether John, what would you say? You're not a trained teacher. You don't know where to start. In fact, you go to a class. But if you take, who is a teacher here? Gatonye. But when you tell Gatonye, come, go, even put him huko majuu, and then you just put him in front of a class like this one, he knows where to start. He'll not fear. He'll just start. He knows he needs to prepare. Someone else said the other day, and he was called quickly. John, come and tell them something. He said, no, me, I'm a trained teacher. And as a trained teacher, I was told, you just don't speak. You must sit down, plan what you're going to say. So you cannot harass me, tell me, come and talk to them for 5 minutes. I have nothing to say. Give me time to go in. And I thought that was a very, I don't know whether to say that was very honest of him, because he felt harassed. But if you give him time, whatever topic you want him to talk about, he will sit, plan, and see what he's going to do in the 10 minutes. But you can't pick someone there and tell them, for the next 10 minutes, come and keep these people busy. He has no business in keeping them busy. He wants to know what content to know. So we need to prepare our people. What I'm saying, if you want them to do something, as a leader, be sure to tell them how they need to do it. Because until you have told someone what to do and how to do it, you cannot tell them that they failed to do. Probably they don't know what they were supposed to do. You want people to pray? Teach them also a lesson on praying, so that they know, they understand, and they are on board. They know why they need to pray. You want people to tithe? As a leader, you must also teach them on tithing. And more importantly, modeling the way. You must lead by example. You can imagine if you said, we are doing this, and then when they look behind, some little leakage, like it happens in the media, and then they discover you did not do it. What do you think they take you for? They'll never take you serious again. But it is say, we are meeting at 7, and for sure, you'd rather not take your breakfast, because you're the leader and you're the one who announced it. You must be there at that 7. It may be very expensive for you, very costly, because you may even require to take a boda or an Uber because you are late, but just to ensure you are there. Because if you have to be transformational, a transformational leader, then it has to be deliberate. And we have said you must sacrifice, you must surrender, you must, it calls for that, for you to make it. So those are the challenges like you have cited. I think they are just, but there is also the challenge of, other than what you have given, pressure to perform. Unaona vile unaitwa. You've been called and you're told you are the leader of this or the other. And you can see what is expected of you. And you ask yourself, will I make it? There's too much pressure, and at times people just say, honestly, they just say, I don't want pressure, I don't want that position. So there could be pressure, both from within yourself. You know, the way you tell yourself, I don't want to fail. And the fear of failing becomes a pressure for you. And people have even got to stress because of leadership. There could also be pressure from without. You know, people are looking at you and they are telling you, you are not doing as good as Maybe even then people will just talk, They'll tell you, when we were with so and so, we were doing this and that. And in essence, what are they telling you? You're not measuring to their expectation. So that could be a real challenge, and you don't want to be challenged that way. You want to leave it. Then the other challenge is that when you're picked as a leader, remember, you are one of them. So you are in the group of followers. And then today, we pick you and we tell you you are the leaders. Si unajua yenye mlikuwa mnaongea juu ya leaders? Si unajua? Si unaona two fingers mlikuwa mna point? Na ugimona? Na nini? You know all that, eh? And now you see yourself now turning around. You are no longer facing this way, but now you are facing this way. That is also a big challenge. How will you lead the followers that you've been with, and whatever you are doing with them, Sindio? Maybe the disobedience. When it was said, you are the first one to say, hiyo ni yayo. Mimi sitafanya. You have a big kibarua then to ensure that you communicate your vision clearly, model the way, and tell them, I was wrong. This is the way. And ensure that you don't leave any one of them behind. Getting out of them so that you can be able to lead them is a real challenge. Because many other times that when we sit in the crowd there, we feel like we are lost there. God will see you in that field, and he picks you and makes you the leader. Where do you start? So that is also another challenge. And we can do that, or we can overcome that by knowing it is God who has seen you. He has selected you. He has a mission for you. Even when you are making noise in there, he knew you. He was just waiting for your time to be right. And this is the time now you are the leader. Would you seek the Lord and find out what is the mission? Which people is he sending you to? And what is the mission? Where do you want to get them from? Up to what level? So that you don't leave them the same way you have found them. Then challenge number 3 is communication. Many people will have many things to say. They will think about things. But if you don't communicate effectively, then you lose your followers and you lose on it. So it is important, like we have said, without overemphasizing that, effective communication. Communicate your vision. Encourage others. It's all about communication. Motivate others so that they feel part and parcel of what you're doing. Then the other challenge is the feeling of inadequacy. And this we suffer, many of us, many other times, that when you are told to do, you ask yourself, am I able? Am I capable? But with the time, God continues to equip you through his people and through different means. Eventually, you are able to stand. So don't fear, even when you feel like you're inadequate. It is the Lord who has called you. Back to our lessons. It is the Lord who has called you for a mission. And the mission he has called you to, it is his own mission. And he is committed to see to it that it is completed. So usiogope, he will be with you. Then number 5 is lack of resources. Sizinakosa. There are so many things you need to do. Given all the resources, what would you do with your district? If you had all the money in the world, what would you do with your district? With your group? Probably you'd want to fly them out so that you have a seminar wherever. If you wanted, you'd buy this so that they are more comfortable. If you had this or that. But they are not enough. But the Lord is calling you, even with those resources, knowing for sure that that is what there is, and he's going to use you for that. And as I conclude, there is hope in leadership. Umeitwa kwa uongozi wakati kama huu kwa sababu kuna tumaini. There is hope. And as we have said, just to repeat, God has called you. He has called you, and he has called you by your name, which means he knows you. He knows your past. He knows your challenges. He knows your resources. Number 3, God has an assignment for you, or what you're calling a mission. And the mission he has for you, he is committed to its accomplishment because he sees the end from the beginning. He is seeing it as it is already is. So he has called you to serve his people. They may be the way they are. You may not like them, but those are the people that God has called you to serve. May you seek then the Lord. Surrender to him so that you discover where is it the Lord wants you to take these people up to where. So that you don't leave them the same, because God has called you to go take them from where they are and make them what he wants them to be. So it's a call for sacrifice, a call to surrender, a call to seek the Lord. This leadership is a call to seek the Lord, to surrender and to sacrifice as God uses you for his own purpose. And I end with a quote that if you are to be an effective and transformational leader, do not start by denying the world around you. Instead, plan, communicate, and work with all to create a future that you'd like to see in this church. I repeat, if you are to be an effective and transformational leader, don't start by denying the world around you. Instead, plan, communicate, and work with all to create a future you would like to see in this church. This is your season to act. God bless you so much. I end my presentation there and my training there, but I would also allow time for questions. As I tell you, thank you so much for keen listening. I think I've enjoyed talking to you, and given an opportunity, I'll still come again. God bless you.
Our facilitator, Dr. Naomi, that was a good session and we have understood many things. Na ni vizuri hivyo tumekuja kwa sababu tunatafuta mwelekeo ule tutakaoenda nao mwaka mpya, mwaka huu. Tuweze kushika hiyo yote ili tuweze kutembea tukiwa pamoja. Na Mungu atazidi kutubariki. Chukueni mpige picha. Sawa, hiyo najua mmesahau za seminar. Muzipige wale wataweza. Tukue na parazi wengi as we continue. So mchungaji, I want to say that we are going to have a break. Tea break. Then when we come back, prepare your questions. They will be answered accordingly. Now, with that, I kindly request Elder Ann akuje atupatie mwelekeo na pia ombee kikombe cha chai. To appreciate Elder Ann kama anakuja.
Bwana asifiwe. Tumesoma na tunashukuru Mungu kwa sababu knowledge is power. Yale ambao hatukuwa tunajua Leo tumejua, na wakati huu